Good morning. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope everybody's well. Today, I'm quite excited about this video. I haven't done a book reviews video in absolutely ages. So I am excited to be making this video for my membership viewers. Right, I have just come back from holiday and I read 6 books while I was away. One of them was a short story, I should add. One of my joys of going on holiday for me is having that endless amount of time to read and lie by a pool and read a book. It is one of the great joys of my life. I very much enjoy reading. I'm an avid reader. I always have been my whole life. And it's nice to have the time when I'm away to really get stuck into a book. I think I enjoy reading so much more when I've got the time to actually really get into a book. So without further ado, let's get into it. The first book I read was called The Sister Switch by an author called Charlotte Butterfield. I read them all on my Kindle because I was away on holiday. I don't take actual books, physical books away with me when I go on holiday, although I do like to read a physical book every now and then still. But they're all Kindle books, so I'll put little screenshots up of the covers on the screen while I talk about them. But yeah, The Sister Switch was from I think I got a recommendation from TikTok for this, and it looked very light. I actually started this before I went away on holiday, and I was quite busy in the few days leading up to going away, so I wanted something quite light to read. I used to love a very light chick litty type romance, and I tend not to so much anymore, and this book definitely wasn't a romance, but the cover of it made me think it would be quite light. However, it had more depth than I was anticipating. So this is the story of 2 twin sisters in their 40s, Alice and Edie, and they have a sort of lifestyle slot on a morning TV show. Viewers sort of write in with their problems and issues, and the twin sisters, Alice and Edie, give them advice. Let's just say that Alice and Edie are chalk and cheese. They have very different lifestyles. They're both married with children, but they both have very different lifestyles. They have very different viewpoints on life and how to live it, and are just very, very different people. Let me read you the synopsis. It says, 2 sisters, 1 bet, and a lifetime of secrets uncovered. Morning TV's favourite twin sisters, Alice and Edie, may share the screen, but that's where their similarities end. Their viewpoints are far from identical, and whilst their on-air clashes keep viewers hooked, off camera, their relationship is far from picture perfect. After a heated argument on live TV threatens their jobs, the fiery duo make a bet. Neither could last a week in the other's shoes. Determined to prove each other wrong, they secretly swap lives without telling a soul. I mean, obviously you have to suspend disbelief in that, because I'm pretty sure their husbands and kids would have figured it out. But notwithstanding that, it's pretty good. What starts as a battle of wills quickly spirals into chaos as each sister discovers the other's life is far more complicated than it seems. Between dodging awkward work situations, marital issues, and meddling in each other's families, Alice and Edie's rivalry turns from a competitive bet into an opportunity to help change each other's lives for the better. But will their relationship survive? And you know what? I actually thought this was really intelligently written, although it was fairly light and fluffy, an easy read. Once you got over the fact that obviously it couldn't happen in real life. The characters were really well drawn. I liked the fact that neither sister was sort of made out to be the bad guy at all, and they really got a more in-depth understanding of each other's foibles and flaws and attributes as well from doing this. The characters were really well written. It was just a really good story. I gave it 4 stars, and I would recommend it if you like that sort of thing. The next book I read was Nesting by Roisín O'Donnell, and this was longlisted for the Women's Fiction Prize this year, I believe. I think I got a recommendation for this from Lauren and the Books channel, YouTube channel. I really enjoy her recommendations. I think she's great. I enjoy all her videos, actually. She doesn't just do books, but highly recommend her, Lauren and the Books, if you are interested in watching an entertaining, mostly book-based channel. Anyway, this book was set in Ireland. It's about a woman, Ciara, who decides that she cannot stand living with her husband anymore, and she just makes a split-second decision to gather her things and her 2 children, and she's pregnant, and leave him. And she has very little money, nowhere to go. Her family are overseas. And it was a real eye-opening read about homelessness and poverty and aggressive male behaviour and just and good stuff as well. There is uplifting stuff in it as well, which is lovely. But I'll read you the synopsis of this one. It's described as an extraordinary and urgent debut by a prize-winning Irish writer, and it was really very good. On a bright spring afternoon in Dublin, Ciara Fay makes a split-second decision that will change everything. Grabbing an armful of clothes from the washing line, Ciara straps her 2 young daughters into her car and drives away. Head spinning, all she knows for certain is that home is no longer safe. This was meant to be an escape. But with dwindling savings, no job and her family overseas, Ciara finds herself adrift, facing a broken housing system and the voice of her own demons. As summer passes and winter closes in, she must navigate raising her children in a hotel room, searching for a new home and dealing with her husband Ryan's relentless campaign to get her to come back. Because leaving is one thing, but staying away is another. And it was just so beautifully written. You just felt this woman's despair and determination and hopelessness and uplifting moments as well, as I said, but highly recommend this. Such a good book and one that I really, really enjoyed. This was a 5-star read for me and probably my favourite book of the holiday, I think. Next, I read a short story, which was, or novella, I suppose you'd call it, by Frida McFadden, and it was called Death Row. I have a bit of a... Frida McFadden is a very popular American TikTok popular, and I say that in not a disparaging way at all, but very TikTok popular author. She writes thrillers and they are a bit far-fetched. Having said that, they're very readable and I have read quite a few of them, but I don't know if not love or hate, but I don't know if... I don't know. I just don't know about it. But this particular book, Death Row, is about a woman, Talia, who is on death row for murdering her husband. And it was... I didn't warm to it until I got to the end and realised, looking back at it, it really made me think because the end explained the beginning. And I don't want to say too much more than that. But she maintains her innocence and she's on death row, very close to being put to death. And she still maintains her innocence. And then she catches sight of a priest in the prison. And she's absolutely convinced that it is her husband, the one she's supposed to have murdered. So, it's very well written and it's very thought-provoking. The way it is written, once I got to the end, I found myself reflecting back on it quite a bit. So if you want a really quick, short story, that one's definitely worth a read. The next book I read was by John Marrs, very popular author again, who writes really good, pacey, page-turning thrillers, some of which have been turned into... One was turned into a Netflix series, I think. Can't remember the name of it, but it was good. So he sort of writes some slightly dystopian stuff as well. But this particular one wasn't. It was called You Killed Me First and is the story of 3 women, Liv, Anna and Margot. I'll read you the synopsis. 3 women, 3 smouldering secrets. Who will make it out alive? The beginning of this book is cracking, by the way. It's the 5th of November and a woman awakens to a nightmare. Bound and gagged, she lies trapped in the heart of a towering bonfire. As the smoke thickens, panic sets in. She's moments away from being engulfed in flames. How did it come to this? Rewind 11 months. Margot, a faded TV star, and her long-suffering friend Anna watch as glamorous Liv and her flawless family move into their street. The 3 women soon fabricate the perfect pretense of friendship, but each harbours her own deadly secret, and newcomer Liv senses something is terribly wrong beneath their polished exteriors. As the cracks widen in the veneer of perfection... Sorry, a squirrel just went across the roof down there and made me look. As the veneers widen... Sorry, where was I? As the cracks widen in the veneer of perfection and lies escalate out of control, tension ignites. Bonfire night is approaching and someone is set to burn, but who will it be? This was really good, very pacey. Again, a little bit far-fetched, but a lot of thrillers are these days, aren't they? And the characters were really well drawn, and nobody is what they seem, and nothing is nothing is what it seems. And I like the way John Mars does the gradual peeling of the layers of the onion as you get to go through the book. You know, you find out a little bit here and a little bit there. But yeah, very enjoyable, and I'd recommend that one as well. Next, I read... Now, this was a recommendation from William. My son William and his girlfriend Georgie were on holiday with us, and we were talking about books and what we were reading. And Will was just finishing off this book. It's called Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. Now, if you remember the film and the book, The Martian, Andy Weir wrote those. I read that about 10 years ago. I read The Martian, and it was so exciting. It is sci-fi, it is science fiction, but it was genuinely one of the best books. I couldn't stop reading it. Absolutely brilliant, and subsequently saw the film. But I recommended that book to both Will and Ashley, and they both read it and really enjoyed it at the time. Will was about 15 then. And then we all watched the film together when that came out. But such a good book, and not the type of thing I would normally read at all. Anyway, having enjoyed that, I then bought Project Hail Mary, which is another of Andy Weir's books. I think he wrote it after The Martian. And it has been sitting unread on my Kindle for literally years. I don't know why I've never got round to reading it, just one of those things. Anyway, William was reading this book on holiday, and he said, Mum, I'm reading Project Hail Mary. It's absolutely brilliant. You should read it. You'll enjoy it. And so I started reading it, and it was very sciencey. There is let me not pull any punches about this. There is a lot of science in this book. And Will kept saying to me, are you enjoying it? Are you enjoying it? And because he told me it was so good and he thought I would like it, I wanted to keep going with it. But I got to about 40% of the way through, and he said, are you enjoying it? And I said, I'm really thinking I might give up on it. Anyway, by 50%, I was absolutely hooked. I couldn't put it down. There is still a lot of science. There's still a lot of science, but it was such a good book. I'll read you the synopsis because I don't have the words to describe it, really. Ryland Grace is the sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and Earth itself will perish. Except that right now he doesn't know that. He can't even remember his own name, let alone the nature of his assignment or how to complete it. All he knows is that he's been asleep for a very, very long time, and he's just been awakened to find himself millions of miles from home with nothing but 2 corpses for company. His crewmates are dead, his memories are fuzzily returning, and Ryland realises that an impossible task now confronts him. Hurtling through space on this tiny ship, it's up to him to puzzle out an impossible scientific mystery and conquer an extinction-level threat to our species. And with the clock ticking and the nearest human being light years away, he's got to do it all alone. Or does he? Notwithstanding the science, this was genuinely a book that I can't stop thinking about this book still. It has really left a mark on me. I think it's being made into a film. In fact, it is. We looked it up on holiday. It's currently being made into a film due to come out next year. And what I liked about it, although it was science fiction, it was dystopian. I like dystopian. It was a sort of end of the world climate crisis type thing, not in the way you'd think. And it was exciting, and it was about humanity and what makes us human, and connections and communication and all sorts of good stuff. And honestly, it's one of the books that I haven't stopped thinking about since I finished it. I gave it 4.5 stars. The other half star I had to take off because I did find it very science heavy, and I'm not a science person, but it honestly, if you can get through the science, it's a brilliant book. The final book I read was by another long-time favourite author, Adele Parks, who has been writing books for years, and I have been reading her books for years. She started off with sort of chick lit type stuff, and has moved into, I guess this would be what you call revenge fiction, I think you'd call this, or domestic noir maybe. But she also dipped her toe at one point into historical fiction, which I don't think was very popular. I read one of them and didn't enjoy it. But she's written various books over the years, most of which I've very much enjoyed anyway. There was one about some lottery winners, which was particularly good. Very much enjoyed this. Anyway, this is the story of Emma, who's a very successful businesswoman in her late 40s, I'm going to say, mid to late 40s anyway. And she's never married or had a long-term partner, and at a work conference, she meets Matthew. Now, she very much likes Matthew. She gets on very well with Matthew. He seems like a really kind, generous, nice man. And in the course of their conversation, she finds out that he is widowed. His wife died less than a year ago, and they start up a relationship. What could possibly go wrong, you imagine? Well, all sorts. Full of twists and turns, full of surprises, quite pacey to read. Let me read you some of this. When Emma meets Matthew, a kind, handsome widower, he seems to be just what she needs. Yet as their relationship moves fast, Emma's friends worry she might be exploited. She's a rich woman after all. Emma doesn't care that Matthew has no money, but as the memory of his perfect first wife hangs over them, Emma does have one tiny doubt. If Matthew's wife hadn't died, he wouldn't be with her. And Emma wonders if she's second best. Can she ever fill the dead woman's shoes? As jealousy and suspicion blossom between Emma and Matthew, events take a darker, dangerous turn. Suddenly, Emma doesn't know who she can trust, her friends, her husband, or even herself. About a third of the way through, this book changes from it talks in Emma's perspective to start with, then it changes to another perspective, and it does slow down a little bit there. I felt like it flagged a little bit in that middle portion, but the beginning's great, the end's great, and the overall story, when I got to the end of it, I did reflect back and say, yeah, I've really enjoyed that. I gave it 4 stars. And if you like a sort of revenge lit, if you like Jane Fallon, this would be something similar to the type of stuff she writes. So that is my 6 books that I read on holiday, all to be recommended, I think. All to be recommended. Yes, I enjoyed everything I read. There's definitely going to be more book content and reading content coming over here on my membership channel, so look out for that. Do drop me any book recommendations in the comments, anything you've read recently. I love a good book recommendation. And thanks very much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.